The beauties that we hold dear are much alike in all peoples, and they all have something to do with the building of a world of peace. I think all nations and all faiths of importance in the world today have the common vision of the end of war, the creation of peace. Even our stoutest adversaries, in the secrecy of themselves, realize that only peace can heal up the wounds that have afflicted the world since the beginning. We have known this, but we have not been able to make it work. We have not yet been able to bind men's purposes together. We have not been able to overcome the instinct of competition and to create in its place a consciousness of cooperation. If religion has failed, at least to now, to really achieve this end, it rather means that faith as we know it has not been strong enough to overcome selfishness. But in the process of the moment, there seems to be a stronger weapon rising, and that is man's consummate fear. Today, man fears tragedy far more intensely than ever in the past has he hoped for good. Today, it is becoming increasingly obvious that this better way of life must either find its place among us, or we may not be able to survive at all. This is a serious thought. This may force us into a re-evaluation of the work at hand. And if a certain stress, strain, or crisis achieves this end, it is worth its passing cost. For the answer remains as it has always been, that we must either understand or suffer. Perhaps out of the tremendousness of our need, and out of the stronger facilities that we now possess for estimating the magnitudes of things, we shall have new incentives for cooperation and understanding. It will be sad if these incentives have to be negative. But even though they may start negative, ultimately their own rewards will restore their positive equilibrium. For as we perceive the practical workings of constructiveness, we can no longer deny its right or deny its supremacy in our affairs. Now, there have been some who have attempted to visualize the utopia of the future. You all remember Bellamy's Looking Backwards, a rather strange name because it was really looking forward. But man, even a man like Bellamy, could not quite escape the binding patterns of contemporary things. Ignatius Donnelly and Caesar's column attempted the same thing, but with only mediocre success. These men could not know the changes that were to follow their own lives by 25 or 50 years. They could not sense the magnitudes of world motion in the last 50 years. But in all, utopians in general realize that what we call a perfect state today must be actually a world state. The only foundation big enough for the everlasting house is the whole planet. Its tessellated floor must be the earth, and the magnificent span of its ceilings must be the heavens, and its ornaments must be the stars. Nothing less than this one house, nothing less than this one world, built over the ashes of many worlds, can meet the challenge of our present consciousness. This does not mean that we want to have a world of conformists. This does not mean that all who can build this house must have only one thought and one mind. But it does mean that each must have as a common denominator with all the others the great thought in the divine mind. It would be too bad indeed if every nation lost its cultures, lost its ancient traditions, its arts, and its crafts, and that we all came to look alike, and that from the north to the south we would wear fedora hats or toreador pants. This is something more horrible than we can even contemplate. Perhaps total extinction would be preferable. But it does mean that in the great essentials of things, we must learn to work together. We must learn to pray together, even though each may pray to his own concept of God. We must give every man this right. We do not care the name of the deity to whom he prays. What we want to know is he a faithful workman, chewing his stone for this house of eternal progress? We do not care what his language may be, for his works speak for him. And if they do not speak, his language fails in any event. We do not care how far away he is or how near. All we need to know is that a dedicated humankind has resolved to labor together for the common good. This is the sacred place upon which our house must be built. And of course the early Christians were of the opinion that it was quite possible that this New Jerusalem would descend upon the stony, rocky crest of Golgotha, that it was upon bleak Calvary, upon which the Messiah died, that the new temple of everlasting truth would be built. Well, whether it is the floor of the Jebusite, or the sand of Gobi, or the rocky crest of Calvary, always the symbolism is approximately the same in meaning. For this rocky place of death is the symbol of this world.